Paul Sheridan, Irish Startup TV's first closed loop success story. Welcome back to Irish Startup TV.
Thanks, Richie.
So we first met at a Google Startup Weekend.
Yeah, back in July.
July of last year.
Yeah.
So we shot a little pitch.
Yeah.
Probably 15 seconds.
Even shorter, yeah.
So that was just a very early stage of the idea.
Yeah, it was a different concept even.
So you came to that Startup Weekend with an idea just to get involved, or to build out a startup, or to develop that idea?
Came in with an app to let people book builders online, and then realised on the Friday night that it was never going to work. Then we just got into gambling, and then gaming, gambling. Now it's a platform to let people wager against each other while they
So
play
it's now
games.
called
REFLEX Gaming. www.getreflex.io is the URL. So you can go on there now and sign up to our beta and actually play now.
So it's been It's been like 8-9 months.
Yeah.
So we kind of, through the startup community, we kept in touch.
Yeah.
And then Majella Kremlin from Philip Lee, I mentioned you in conversation one day, and she's like, "Oh my God, you know the guys? Can you connect us?" So eventually we made that connection.
Yeah, Majella's great, and he also put me in touch with Gianni, Growing Capital at.
So Gianni,
that was Dublin beta.
Yeah, actually that was a really funny experience. So for anyone watching the video, so when I worked at Dog Patch over on Barrow Street, Gianni basically shared the space. He was attracted in by the idea, and we became friendly because we had an interest in horses and architecture, Georgian architecture. Yeah. And one day he says, "Richie, I want to invest." So he'd had quite a nice exit from Italy, and he was looking for new opportunities here. So I helped him to build out Growing Capital.
Yeah.
And when was that Dublin beta? That was November.
Yeah. So 5 months.
We were heading out. And I said, "Come on, Johnny, one more I want you to meet."
We kind of primed him for a couple of months, and finally got him to.
And how was it from your point of view, like dealing with an investor? That was your first experience.
He was easy to deal with, but your age, has a lot to do with, and commitment and how much time you can actually commit. But even his advice, besides investment, his advice alone is valuable to us.
Because he has at least 20 years experience of building technology.
Just basic things that you never would have thought of. It's great to have on board, and Growing Capital as a firm.
And what kind of top tips then would you have that you've perhaps learnt from him?
Have a really good team. Don't say, "Oh, one of my team is gone this week, he's not doing it anymore and he's coming back." Actually have a team nailed down, and a beta. Actually have something to show investors. They're the kind of top two things that.
And how important was traction in terms of demonstrating users or demonstrating numbers?
Traction with users wasn't as important as I thought it would be, but actually just being able to communicate your idea through a product is, actually show that this works is the most important thing, I think. Down the road, traction with users, that will be kind of core focus over the next
it'll be
months.
A significant milestone. And have you set any milestones? As you mentioned, you have the beta available now, and again we're going to link to that below this video.
We're going for a product launch during the summer, proper launch, so we really need to take it from there and see where we are then. Going
back to the Google Startup Weekend, and again we're going to link this video in, that you gave a presentation and you came out with some just shocking statistic that what was it that the
Masters in the US, the golf tournament, that's half of what Dota 2's annual prize pool is for their kind of World Cup of Dota. It's a game, so that's about $15-16 million just for 5 guys when they win it. So esports is huge.
It's incredible.
And it's only going to get bigger.
And you guys ended up winning that Startup Weekend as well. You were presenting, you were pitching the idea on the Sunday evening.
We got to go to Milan last November.
It
was a good couple of days. Didn't learn much, but Milan's a nice place.
That's really interesting. So, there are a lot of events to attend in Dublin, and
Dublin's definitely the place.
What do you think is important? Is it the people you meet? Is it the experience? Is it the learning? Or does it depend?
And following up with people, not just going, "Oh, well, I met him, I'm not going to keep in contact." Actually, trying to get something from people and learn. You can go to events and people say they're bad, but it's what you make of them and who you meet at them.
So it's your engagement. So what advice would you have for other people that might have an idea? Because just to bear in mind,
talk to people.
And just to call out for anybody
Yeah,
watching again,
yeah.
so it's 9 months since you rocked up to a startup weekend
Yeah.
with an idea.
Yeah.
A lot has happened in that time,
Yeah,
but
that's a business.
you've closed the seed round.
Yeah.
For somebody else,
Yeah.
what advice would you have for them? Because if you can do it, in theory they can do it. Why do you think you did it?
It's determined. I wanted it to work. It didn't go kind of half-hearted.
But the idea pivoted. You
Oh yeah, learn to pivot. Learn to go. Okay, this one's not going to work, and adapt your business. Don't just go, well, this is the only way it's going to work. Like, we've pivoted so many times, and pivoted the technology behind it as well so many times. But yeah, be open to new ideas.
Okay.
It was a big learning curve for us, but to know that early on is really beneficial.
And was there an inflection point where you decided that Reflex was going to be like or it wasn't called Reflex at the time?
No, it's called Bucky.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a few negative connotations.
But was there a particular inflection point where you said, this is definitely the idea, this is the one we need to go with, this is the one I'm
when we
determined?
realised that we didn't need a gambling licence and we could launch worldwide on day one with it, that's when we realised, okay, we can actually reach a large amount of people and users with this.
So is that a massive market segment that attracted you?
Yeah, it was definitely that it was just the easiest to launch with that idea.
Just to remind us, you're in sixth year?
Fifth year.
You're fifth year,
Yeah,
okay.
So
how are you going to balance?
Oh.
That's the $50 million question.
We've 4 long months before 6th year to get a proper product off the ground, and then I have a team behind me now that I can pass on to and get them to work with me closely on it. But
so that's a great bit of advice as well, the ability to be able to stand back and to delegate. That's something I guess you're being forced to do.
Yeah.
So that's a great way of learning.
Just give a hands-off approach to things sometimes. And another bit of advice is to find a team that cares and that knows how to build a product.
How do you do that?
Meeting them by chance was one.
Serendipity.
Yeah.
Well, how can you, I suppose,
attend as many events as you can. Try to speak to like-minded people. Twitter is great.
Okay.
Like-minded people who are actually interested in what you're building, rather than go, okay, there might be money here, but if they're interested in the market and they like the product, that's half the battle. So that's pretty important. We
talked already a little bit about your milestones, so for the next couple of months it's going to be a question of getting that MVP out the door.
And customer acquisition, reaching a critical mass to have enough people online at the same time to make this product a real service that people want to use. And then in terms of funding, I'm not sure. We'll see what our
build the
burnout
product
rate is.
first.
Exactly,
And actually, just to remind us as well, just in terms of your own personal interest, so your developer would be the area that you would have brought to the startup weekend?
Developer, designer, and...
You have a technical ability?
Learning.
An aptitude? Okay.
I like to learn, you don't need to be a developer, but it's handy to have those skills to build something at the start rather than having to find someone to build those for you. But,
I think that's a big issue we see a lot in Ireland. Sean O'Sullivan spoke very strongly about this. If you're not a technical person, forget it. I think though that I would argue that if you're not a technical person, give yourself enough skills so that you can build a sufficient prototype, be it with a prototyping tool or with Squarespace or something, that you can actually take something out of your pocket and say, this is what I'm thinking, can you advise me further?
You don't need to be a developer. It's not very fair to say,
It does help though.
Helps, but it's not an easy skill to have or acquire. It takes a lot of time. Just be willing to learn.
Okay.
Is one of the most important things. And there's so many free resources where you can learn now. Just be open to technical, getting in and actually getting into the code and all that kind of stuff.
Looking under the hood.
Exactly.
Fantastic. Well, look, when we first met, I saw a conviction in you, and I'm very proud of myself. You've proved me right, and I think it's that attitude, and you've alluded to it as well, that it's about the focus on getting it done. So can't wait to check in with you in a few months and see how you're getting on.
Thanks very
Paul,
much.
well done, man.
Thanks,
well
Richie.
done. Thank you.